Here we go. We're going to tie this one up next. This is a 1/4 ounce actual pill head, not a freestyle head. This is a pill head. We're going to tie this up. We're going to make something nice out of it. The jigs that I've tied up within the last couple weeks, all these walleye jigs, I'm probably going to end up giving them away on a live when I do my next live on YouTube, and I will let you know when it's coming up. And this jig will also be in that pack that I'm going to give away. All right, here it is in a vise. This is a 1/4 ounce pill head, not a freestyle. There's a big difference between a freestyle and a pill head. This has got a very thin profile, but it builds the jig head up higher. With this jig, you can actually put a lot more in the body. You don't have to really worry about overfilling it. You can make it a pretty heavy jig, but we're going to start step by step. There it is. Got the Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails. This is the one that comes in the round bottle. This is the one I use the most of. I'm pretty sure the other ones are fine, but they seem a little discolored. This one's nice and clear. It hardens pretty quick. It makes a really good base to start your thread with. We're going to be using 210 denier from Ultra Thread. When I'm tying big 1/4 ounce jigs, actually when I'm tying almost all my jigs, 210 is definitely my go-to thread. It's the one I use more than anything. Very rarely do I use anything else. If I do, it's 140. But we start those wraps right behind the head, just like always. We're going to take it all the way down to the point of the hook. I'm trying to be careful. I got my arm reached up over top the camera and kind of tied down from that side, so I'm going to end up bumping this camera. I'm going to apologize right off the bat. So there we go. We got a good layer. And don't be afraid with a jig this size to go with the 2-layer thread base. A good, thick, heavy thread base, and you can see that Sally Hansen's coming out of the threads. It's going to help hold. It's going to give you a good base to start your jig with. The stronger that base is and the better that base is anchored down, the less likely you are that that jig is going to spin. That material is going to spin when you're tying it. So we're going to go through the bucktail, and I'm going to pinch off. You know, it's hard to say how much to pinch off. But if I was starting and you're new at this, pinch off a small amount and add it. See what you think. If you don't think it's enough, pinch off a little bit more, add it to it. It's a lot easier to add to it than it is to take away. So remember, it's one of those things where less is better at first, until eventually you will get the feel. You'll pull it out between your fingers and you'll know that's enough. That's all I need. Until then, add small layers until you got it the way you want it. So we're going to put that right behind the head, and I'm going to push that bucktail all the way down so that most of the bucktail is on the top side of that jig. That way, when I put my second layer on, the jig's more proportionate with the material. So we're going to do good thread wraps all the way to the point of the hook. We're going to work our way back up, and we're going to try to get all that bucktail tied down. I want as much of that bucktail under the thread as I can get. But remember, if you're going to add another layer, that's going to give you more opportunity to put more thread on that bait. So, you know, don't worry about some of it sticking out. It's really not going to hurt a whole lot. So next, we're going to put on a layer of red craft fur. This is some new old stock that I had. This is some craft fur that a friend had given me that's probably 10 or 12 years old. The price on the back of the bag was like, I think it was like $1.50. So I know, you know, it's pretty old. It's not new, but it still works. It's still got good color to it. It's still in good shape. And we're going to add it right to the back of this jig, almost making it our flash, but giving it a two-tone effect at the same time. You know, after tying this jig, I really wish I would have put red eyes on it. It would have been really cool looking to have a little bit of the red tail and the red eyes to go with it. I think it would have matched a lot better, but those eyes were pretty cool. I like them. They're simple. They're easy. The white around the black in the pupil has got a little bit of reflection to it. So hitting the sunlight underwater, it should sparkle some. You should get a little bit of sparkle on that. And now I'm debating whether or not I even want to put flash in it. But I'm going to end up talking myself into it because I can't not tie jig and put flash in it. So I'm digging through my flash down underneath my table. I'm probably going to go with a crystal. Actually, it might not even be crystal. It might be polar. It's kind of got like a bunch of little beads, and it's like not quite white, not quite blue, but it's going to give it a little more sparkle. We're going to add to it, but we're going to tie it on just like you would your material. Lay it right on the back, the shank of that hook, and then strap it all down. Keeping those wraps nice and even, keeping them good and tight, keeping everything tied down as best as you can. But it's actually come along pretty smooth. That is not a bad looking jig so far. Send me a message, let me know. Should I have added the flash? Should I not have added the flash? What do you think about the eyes? Should I went with red? Next, our layer of chenille. Notice I'm leaving a gap between the head and the start of the chenille. That's going to give me a little bit of a valley to pull the rest of that chenille down inside there against that head. And you'll see what I'm talking about when I get down to the end wrapping my chenille. And we're going to pull the chenille over the back, and we're going to start making pretty tight wraps with that chenille. And if you notice, you'll see that jig head kind of move up and down a little bit. You can tell I got some tension on that. So we're going to stop right there, and we're going to switch our bobbin to the other side. We're going to pull it up. We're going to wrap that piece in. And this is where the little valley helped. Now I can pull that chenille back down in there. Now it's in there tight. So we're going to do the exact same thing again. We're going to take that bobbin. We're going to go around that chenille back over the head. Then we're going to pull the chenille out straight, and we're going to put another wrap right there. So I've actually got that chenille tied down 3 times if you go back and you count it. Then we're going to cut our chenille off. Told you, apologize. I bumped that camera. I knew it was coming. One of these days I'll eventually buy the equipment to make this a little bit smoother. Maybe, maybe not. But we're going to wrap that chenille down, and I'm going to give this jig a red neck. Yep, it's going to be the redneck crappie jig. We're just going to wrap it until I can see the red between the chenille and the head of the jig. Now I got a spot that matches the tail that's tied into this jig. I like this effect. I think it looks cool. Some people say it is absolutely not the right way to tie a jig. I like the way it looks. You know, and if you like the way it looks, then it's probably a good jig. Use it. Don't worry about what other people tell you. Do your own thing. Give it a good whip finish. Pull it out tight. Let's do it one more time since we got so much thread exposed. But we're going to put UV resin on that thread. That UV resin will seal that thread as good as it's going to seal that eye. Over time, the eye might come off, but that thread is going to stay solid. It is going to be like almost a piece of glass in there. And that is why I use that UV resin. I'm a firm believer in the UV resin. I trust it. I've put it to the test so many times, and I have never had one come undone. I have had eyes come off, but the thread will not come off. And you can see I got that UV resin in there nice and good. It's there. Let's go one more coat with that UV resin. Get it on there nice and good. And work it all around that jig head. And we're going to take our UV light and we're going to get it to set up just a little bit. And then we'll put it in the UV box and finish it off. In the UV box, it might take 15-20 minutes to harden up really good. But you can tell I put a lot of UV resin on that. I build them up pretty thick. I try to make as much of a buffer between the eyes, the paint, and the rocks, stumps, hard-hitting crappie. I try to put a good buffer in there to help hold that stuff for as long as possible. There it is. 1/4 ounce, peel head, bucktail, craft fur, polar flash, UV resin. I like it. Let me know what you think. Send me a message. Tell me what you think about it. Should I have done something different? And please, don't forget, hit that like, share, subscribe. It keeps me doing this. It keeps my channel going. It keeps YouTube posting my videos. Don't forget, I will be giving away all those jigs coming up here pretty soon. Pay attention. I I will put a posting up of the night that I'm going to do that, and we'll get it set up. We'll do the drawing a little better than I did on the last one, and we'll get all that stuff given away. All you got to do is stay tuned and watch. But I got to have over 50 people watching before I give them away. That's all I got, folks. Y'all have a good night.